Hello, everybody. My name is Cycling is my whole life, and cycling is my whole life. We are doing a little bit of a different stream today. Today is January 5th, 2024, and I'm only going to do a Zwift stream so you can see what Zwift looks like if you don't know what it is. It's a online VR, maybe you call it virtual reality. It's not real reality, it's pretend reality, like a virtual kind of reality. And yeah, I'm just gonna choose something fun to bike, and we're gonna bike that today. So well, let's do it by. I just like basic login. This is not a tutorial or anything. This is just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go by elevation since I'm still kind of warming up, and then I'll do something um, that's close to our distance. What I'm hoping for is 10 miles. There we go. Perfect. So I just chose this one. 10 miles, has 208 feet of climbing, is what it is. So we're going to get started. Click start ride, and then we are going to get started. It's as easy as that. I'm going to listen to some music. This might have music, this might not have music. If it does, shout out to the website that I use, which you'll see here up on the screen if it's on there. Anyway, so start at an easy gear, just start pedaling. Let's go. So right now it's let's see here. Can't see the clock. 9:13 p.m. my time when I'm recording this. Yes, I do record this the day of, so I don't record it a day prior. That's something that I consider doing in the past, recording it a day prior and saying it's the next day. That way, I can release the video early in the morning and claim it's the next day. But I don't know. That just kind of didn't seem like what was fitting with me at the time. So that's why I went with that option then, and that's why I'm going with that option now. But it might be something that I might change over. The other reason why I didn't want to feel like playing video games today is because I've been off the bike for maybe about a week before starting the new year. Maybe 7 to 9 days I was off the bike, and so I'm warming back up. The other thing too is I would be lying to you if I didn't say, if I told you that I didn't gain any weight during the holidays. Right before the holidays, I did a mini diet to try to drop as much weight as I could before the actual holidays came in, and I ended up going down to 255. As you can see up there, it says 265. Yes, I did gain 10 pounds over the holidays, even with biking. But that's because I was not watching my diet whatsoever. And that's kind of the thing that happens. You kind of really don't plan ahead, and you just eat whatever you want, and the weight just starts stacking on. And that's perfectly okay. I don't have a problem with that. I knew that's what I was getting into. I knew after I broke my ankle that was going to be something that was going to be happening anyway. So I didn't expect to gain as much as I did, but I did. And that's okay. You know, a lot of people see weight gain as kind of like a big problem or a big deal, or something to be really upset about. But it's the same thing as like when your nails grow long or your hair gets too long. Obviously not my hair. But when you gain weight, or your nails get long, or your hair gets too long, or your shoes get dirty, you can't be upset because that happens. That's just life, how life is. But the thing is that people get upset because they think of weight gain and weight loss as some sort of like mechanical thing, which works like gaining weight is easy and losing weight is hard. And I can understand why people have that mentality. It's understandable because usually it takes effort to lose weight, but it also takes effort to gain weight. And the thing is, the effort to gain weight is less noticeable, and that's the reason why it's so much easier to gain weight, quote unquote easier, than it is to lose weight. Now, you'll be seeing over the following year all throughout 2024. My weight up top, I'll be keeping track of it every single week. You'll see it move up, move down, quickly, slowly, who knows? It'll move how it moves. And I think that's definitely a healthier mindset to have, is to kind of look at your weight loss and just be like, or weight gain, and just be like, this is just kind of how life is. This is a fact of life, and I need to be okay with it, or find a way to be okay with it. And that's kind of what I'm here to tell you today. That's actually one of the reasons why I didn't want to play video games. That, and because I was sitting upright for a lot of my rides, and I haven't conditioned my body enough to that, so I wanted to get on the handlebars and just have my mind be clear from being focused on the video games, and just be able to talk to you today. Really just wanted to have a conversation with you and just check in and let you know how things are going, and kind of let you know how my plan is for this year. So anyway, as we continue, I've bicycled. If you're new to, my channel, my format, or whatever, I don't have a million videos, so it's not like you have a lot to catch up on. But if you're kind of newish, I guess I'll go over everything to kind of make things clear or easy to understand. So I started this YouTube channel that I have with the intention to play video games, kind of like a let's play kind of thing. And it was only to play video games that I really enjoyed myself, which is probably pretty common for a lot of people. But also too, during that same time frame, I've just been really big fan of bicycling. And you know what? Let's just start at the beginning. How about that? How I got into cycling. So here we go. So way back a million years ago, when I was in high school, there was a girl that I was kind of fond of, and I never really made any moves, or attempted to try to court her or anything like that. But I mean, any person who had eyes could see that I had some attraction to her, and but nothing really developed during high school. Then I went to the military and went to my school, and then when I got back, I got a job, and then I don't remember exactly how I bumped into her, but I bumped into her, and then I asked her out on a couple dates, and it wasn't really formally dates at first, but it kind of became that way. And so we had a few dates, and that was kind of cool. And then we just kind of stopped talking. Okay, whatever, people stop talking, that's cool, I didn't have a problem with that. Well, 6 months later, we bumped into each other again, and I noticed at that time that I was sucking in my stomach. I was trying to pretend not to be overweight, and the thing is, like, I was overweight. When I was in high school, I'd weighed 200 pounds. I've weighed 200 pounds since middle school. And I've never dropped below 200 since then. The closest I got was like 199.9, and that was a couple years ago. But anyway, so I was definitely way over 200 pounds. Had to be about 240 or so. And then so then what ended up happening is I was holding in my stomach, and I was just like, dude, it's been 6 months, man. If I would have lost 5 pounds every single one of those months, I could have dropped down to 200, 210, and I wouldn't have to be holding in my stomach. And of course, she didn't say anything, but I noticed it. And I told myself, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to not drive my truck anymore. I'm not going to drive. If I want to get anywhere, I'll walk. And so I started walking to work. It was like 1.5 miles, not far. No excuses. And I remembered that I had this bike. It was a mountain bike that I'd brought from Arizona, where I went to school. And so I cleaned up the bike enough to ride it. And I started riding it, and that was it. It was pretty easy. Well, I started to notice that this mountain bike, because it wasn't a road bike or a hybrid or anything like that, I started to notice that this mountain bike took a lot of effort to ride. Well, I didn't know how to shift gears very well, and I didn't know about tire pressure very much. I just was very much a noob when it came to bicycling. So I went to the bike shop, and I was just like, hey, what can I do? And the bike shop owner, which of course at the time I was just like, this guy's just gonna try to get money out of me. He did what any good bike shop owner should do. He started selling me stuff. Now, you could say to yourself, well, if they were a good bike shop owner, they would have, sold you what you needed without, selling you a bike piece by piece. They should have just sold you a bike from the beginning. Well, you know what? A lot of people buy $1,000 bike and then don't ride it, and then they get upset with cycling because it's expensive, or they get upset with cycling because they have to replace a tire and they don't know how. Well, my bike shop owner was smart. He sold me some slick tires to go on my mountain bike rather than selling me a whole bike. And they were extra thick, so they were still heavy, but the bike rolled, and it rolled much faster. He was just like, hey, let me clean up the chain and the gears and make everything smooth for you. And of course I didn't think that much of it, because I was just like, dude, this is like $80. This is almost as much as the tires, and I'm gonna walk away with nothing to show for it. But I trusted him. And so he did the service, the brakes worked great, the gear shifted perfectly. Then I started noticing that I just wanted to hammer on the pedals. I wanted to go faster. I wanted to ride longer. Sometimes I would leave for work, and it only takes 5-10 minutes to get to work for 1.5 miles. But I noticed I would leave a half hour early, and I would ride around a little extra before I got to work. And then at my lunchtime, I would ride home, make food, and then ride back to work, because I had an hour lunch. And then I would ride back to work from lunch, and then ride my bike again home after work. And then from there, I started doing rides to one of my local towns here nearby, about 7 miles away. And so that was a 14-mile round trip. And then I wanted more upgrades. So I got new pedals, and I got shoes, and I got a nice saddle, or a bicycle seat, as a lot of people call them, but I call them saddles, because I ride a steel horse. Well, this one's aluminum and carbon fiber. But give me 1 second. Alexa, tornado on. And so I got all that new gear, and riding to the town nearby was happening so much faster. Like, usually, like right now, I average between 3 to 3.5 minutes to 4 minutes per mile. And so if you look at my time, you see that I've ridden almost 4 miles in 12 minutes, about 3 minutes per mile. And so when I was riding those 7 miles, at first it was taking me like 45 minutes just to get out there for those 7 miles. Well, my time started going down. And once I saw that it went down to 30 minutes, I was just like, okay, I can go to the local town nearby, 7 miles away, and turn around and come back and be back in 1 hour. And so from 1 hour, I wanted to do it in 59 minutes, and then 58 minutes. Well, that's one of the things that happens to me, is progress is very motivating to me. So I started cycling more, and I started cycling longer, and I started fasting. So rather than ride home, eat my food, and ride back to work, all I would do is ride for my whole lunch break. So the miles were adding up from 14 miles to 30 miles every day. I would be doing doubles or triples. And then on my days off, I would go for 30-mile bike rides. I told the bike shop owner, I'm like, look, man, the problem now is no matter how hard I turn these pedals, I can't go any faster. And he said, well, here's what I can do for you. I can get you a new crank. That's this big guy up front with a bigger gear on the front. And I can get you a new cassette. That's the one back there. And you can go significantly faster. But the thing is, ultimately, you're just gonna need a new bike. And I was just like, there it is, man. After you sold me all the pieces, now you wanna sell me a bike. I bought the bike. I bought the aluminum bike. It was a hybrid bike. Had upright handlebars like the mountain bikes do. Had thicker tires. Had wider tires. But it was aluminum, and it was high grade, and it was dedicated for the road. But it was very upright, very comfortable. I bicycled about 1,000 miles on it for the rest of the year, and I bought that bike in, it was July, I think. So I bought the bike in July and cycled 1,000 miles for the rest of the year. Hooked. Well, guess what? It was time to date that girl again, right? Wrong. I had gotten so much confidence, and I'd lost so much weight, and I'd gotten so much better shape that I aimed my sights higher. And so I was way too confident and had too big of a head for my own good, because I'd never been in shape like that. Even in the Army, yeah, I lost a bunch of weight, and yeah, I was in like basic boot camp shape. That's 2 months of hardcore exercise. By this point on the bicycle, I was doing about 8 months, 9 months, 10 months of hardcore cycling and dieting. I was I was in really good shape, I'm still proud of that. Well, anyway, I didn't date that girl again, and then I met another girl, and so her and I started dating, and we dated for like 9 months. Well, while her and I dated, I wanted to go see her, so I stopped riding my bike and started driving my car again, because I said to myself, I figured out exactly what I wanted to do. I figured out exactly who I wanted to be and how I wanted to do it and how I wanted to be that person. There was no more need for that dedication that I had. I'd accomplished what I wanted to accomplish. Well, the girl and I dated for about 7 or 8 months, and then the time came for me and her to make a decision. She was a local here at a college nearby. She was local, as in at the time, but she originally lived about 500 miles away, and she was a senior. She was graduating. Well, I told her that I had no intention on moving back with her, and I had no intention of having her move in with me. So we left on good terms, and that was it. Guess who came around after that? Well, anyway, I was in really bad shape again, because the other girl that I had dated with, I wasn't doing any exercise. We were eating all the time, hanging out. I got in really bad shape again. So I thought to myself, what am I going to do? Well, you do the same thing that anybody does after a good breakup. You focus on exercise, you focus on self-improvement, and you focus on dieting. Maybe. Some people do, some people don't. That's okay. It's one of those things of life. So I started exercising again, started getting in really good shape, and then I met another girl after that. So her and I started dating, and once again I did not have control over my body shape. Well, not to make this story about my whole relationship in my life, but that was just kind of like the introduction of how cycling really started. So over the years, I would get on these like, I'm gonna get back to cycling, and I'm gonna get back to cycling, and then I'd get in really good shape, and I would bicycle a lot and diet a lot. And then I would do the opposite, where I'd stop cycling and eat all I wanted and drink all I wanted and live my life however I wanted. And then my body shape would get out of control again. Not out of control, but like not where it was, you know. I was not where I wanted to be, so I was not controlling my diet, my physique. So then after that, and now, right, in the last 2 years, I've bicycled over 10,000 miles, and that's kind of what I like to do. I like to cycle a lot. And so now that we started the new year, 2024, and after I broke my ankle last year, decided it was time to get back on the bike and get back in shape. And then you guys are going to be here along for my journey. So I'm going to fill you in on my plan now. My plan is to lose weight by cycling and dieting. I'm not dieting yet. I'm going to start soon, but not yet. I've realized that I can accomplish a lot of things if I set my goals really high and focus on it really hardcore from the very beginning. But I burn myself out. I always do. Sometimes it takes a lot of time, 6, 7 months, 8 months, a year, year and a half, 2 years. Sometimes it takes 4 months, depending on my intensity. And by intensity, I mean how many miles I do every day, how much calorie restriction, how much diet restriction I have. So recently, because I have diverticulosis and I can't have any kind of meat, like red meat, venison, pork, I don't eat any red meat, and I don't drink, and I don't have as much sugar or candy as I used to. So that leaves a lot of space for carbs. And so I eat a lot of carbs. And the thing with carbs is they have a lot of sugar, and it's hard to quit eating sugar because it's the easiest thing for your body to convert into fuel. So for that reason, even though I don't eat meat, I still have issues with weight gain. But when I get serious about it, what I usually do is I start tracking my calories, and I start eating about 2,000 calories per day. And then I usually cycle somewhere between 500 to 1,000 calories per day. And how I calculate that is by using an app. It doesn't really matter which app you use. A lot of them do trackers. And I know how to do the calculations for my own body weight if I wanted to without the app. It's just easier with the app. And when you do things where it's impossible for you to fail, you're obviously more likely to be successful. But that burnout is really difficult. It's hard to deal with. And you end up sometimes burning out for weeks, months, years. And that's really not sustainable. And me entering 40 this year, I'll be 40 in March, and me entering 40 this year really doesn't make sense to take a hardcore, fast, and intense approach and then burn out and regress again. I need to do something that sticks. I need to do something that I can do for the rest of my life. And so that's kind of the goal this year. The goal this year is to take cycling easy from the very beginning. In the past years, I would be like, all right, I'm going to do 30 miles every day. I can do 15 miles in an hour, so it just takes 2 hours. And then I'll restrict my calories to 2,000 at first, and then down to 1,500, and then down to 1,250. Yeah, I would lose a bunch of weight. I would get in really decent shape, but my mental health was always terrible. I physically felt terrible. My emotional health, everything was just bad. And the thing is, like, I don't want to do that. I want to be able to say, hey, I don't feel good, or I don't feel like doing this, or I don't feel like this is helping. So I'm going to approach this in a different way, rather than being negative with myself and being like, of course you wouldn't do this. You're a failure. You're someone not worthy of success. I don't want to do that anymore. I'm a person who doesn't do that anymore. And so now it's slow transition time. And that's kind of where I'm inviting you to come along with me and see that it's possible, see that it's doable, see that someone can chug along very nice and easily and then just go and achieve their goal. Now, you might look at me and be like, well, that's easy for you because you're only 265 pounds and I'm X amount of pounds heavier than you are. Or you've done thousands of miles of cycling in the past, so you have your muscles built up. Or you don't have injury. Well, yeah, I do have all of that, but I didn't always have that from the very beginning. And so now I'm probably heavier than a lot of people. And now I probably don't have as much fitness as a lot of other people. I'm also 40 years old now. I have things that hurt now that didn't used to hurt regularly. Since I was 18 to now, I've broken my left wrist. I've broken my right ankle. I've had lots of back problems. And recently, I started having neck pain. And those are all things that you have to kind of learn to deal with. I get occasional shoulder pain too, but I find a way to comfortably get on the bike and then I turn the pedals. And that's kind of where the whole cycling is my whole life kind of came in with me and came through with me. It's a way of reminding myself that things don't last forever. And the thing is, you can only get faster and you can only get better and you can only get stronger if you work hard. And then more than ever, you put in hour after hour and you realize that your work is never over. Sorry, a little Daft Punk reference right there. Anyway, but the big thing about it is that it's true. You gain weight, you lose weight, you go far, and then you don't go far. You eat great and you don't eat great. Like, things happen like that. One of the things that helped me break the constant negativity in my life was by finding times to be less miserable, finding times to be happy, finding times to be positive, less negative. And when I went back to my negativity, I would turn myself around and go back to my positivity. And then when I'd go back to my negativity, I would turn around and go back to my positivity. In cycles. See where I'm going with this? Health was the same thing. And that's kind of what I've turned to. Now, instead of having more negative time, I have more positive time. And do I still have negative time? Of course I do, absolutely. I have plenty of negative time. But I don't use my negative time to make excuses for why I'm not being positive. I use my negative time as a time to reflect. For example, let's say I get home after work and I say to myself, I'm too tired to get on the bike. So I tell myself, of course you would say that. You want to quit. You want to not put in the effort. So I go to my negative place. But then my positive brain says, hey, we said we were going to rewire this. Instead of being negative, why don't we realize, hey, look, it's Bigfoot. There he is, right there. Cool. You don't always get to see him. A lot of people don't see him. So we're very lucky we saw him. Anyway, I use that time and I say to myself, why am I having these non-positive thoughts? And so I think to myself, I had an interaction at work today where someone reminded me of myself. They were speaking negatively, and they got me all worked up because that's exactly what I remember sounding like in my youth. And so after kind of realizing those kind of things, I would say to myself, well, what would make me feel better? So, kind of take a break. If you need to take a nap, take a nap, drink some water, and then get yourself dressed enough to go outside and do something for 10-15 minutes. Doesn't really matter. 10-15 minutes is okay. So I would take a nap, take a break, watch some YouTube videos or whatever, and then go outside and do something for 10-15 minutes. Then what would happen is I would be doing that thing for like an hour, and then 2 hours, and then before I knew it, I was just like, dude, I feel so much better because I got up and did something. I replaced a negative feeling by understanding where the negativity came from, and I made it into a positive feeling and a positive outcome. So now we're going to talk for the last 0.7, 0.8, 0.9 of a mile, because I think I chose a 10.2 route, on why I started talking about this altogether. Well, the reason why is because I didn't feel like playing video games today. I didn't want to. I didn't want to be sitting upright. I mean, I could be, right? I'm right here. But the thing is, like, it's a different body position. It's not as comfortable. My efficiency isn't as good. So, but I wanted to get on the bike. I didn't want to say to myself, if you skip one day, you're going to skip more days. Also, I said to myself, what if someone is actually out there waiting on you to post these videos? What if someone looks through your history and says, they started off strong and then they kind of gave up. I can give up too. No, I don't want to be that person. Am I weak? Yeah. Am I imperfect? Yes. Am I capable of doing great things? Of course. Do I do great things all the time? No. But I'm very okay with that. And that's that new positive mental, positivity that I have now. You can see me smiling about it because I'm very happy about it. I'm happy that I can look at those negative things, right? Those old habits of mine, and understand why they're there, where they came from, and how I can turn them around into something positive. Now I've almost done 10 miles, and I spent my whole time talking to you, and it made me feel positive. So what does that mean for me next time? Next time I don't want to get on the bike, I can say to myself, that's okay, man. Don't play video games, but at least get on the bike, put in at least 10 miles, be there for somebody, maybe share a story, share something that you feel you want to share, and see where it goes from there. Well, you saw where it went today. It was pretty good, pretty positive, feel pretty happy now. And now my ride is done. And it's all because you were here to join me and hang out with me and be positive with me. Going on this journey with me and cycling with me. Because cycling is my whole life. All right, friends. We're about to finish up right now. I'm going to say thank you one more time. I appreciate you a million billion. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe. Join me tomorrow for some more cycling. I'll be here for you if you're here for me. Let's be here for each other. It's not about me, it's about we. Bye.